Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Love Makes a Way podcast. Today, we have Heidi St. John joining us. And if you guys don't know who she is an advocate for homeschool. She's an advocate for Christian policies across the nation. And we were just so honored to speak with her. She has a podcast called Heidi St. John that you can listen to, where she talks about all of the issues we are facing as Americans and just even the socialist agendas that are happening. And today, we got to sit down and talk with her about homeschooling.
Yeah. And we got to talk about some really, even personal stories about why she got started. And so if you are maybe on the fence, you're thinking, I don't know if I could ever do that. It sounds really hard, or why would I ever want to homeschool? Then this episode is absolutely for you. You will be encouraged and you're going to be challenged too, because Heidi does not hold punches.
No, she doesn't.
And I love her for it.
It was a wonderful episode. Welcome to Love Makes a Way. You are listening to Jennifer Hoffman, founder and president of Life Options Network, and Beth Reynolds. On this podcast, we talk about creating a culture of life and how you can create that culture in your community. We hope that you listen and are encouraged. Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Love Makes a Way podcast. We are so incredibly honored today to have Heidi St. John on our show. And if you guys don't know who Heidi St. John is, you should. Heidi has been traveling across the country. She speaks at conferences, and she is a best-selling author. You guys, Heidi's just really a phenomenal voice, I think, right now in America when it comes to a lot of political issues, but homeschool. So Heidi, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, girls. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yes. So honored to have you. So you've been advocating, I think, since 1999, you've had your school for homeschool and just really been working to get the communities to embrace homeschooling. Can you tell us what led to the passion for that? I know that you have 7 children and that you homeschooled, but what was the moment where you were like, I need to get involved and engage this in my community?
I think it's worth noting that I didn't start out with this kind of passion. I have watched, as many people have, for the last 30 years as our public school system has absolutely gone to hell. And I'm not even kidding about that. And what it's doing to our children. I never wanted to homeschool my daughter. I was like an accidental homeschooler. The Lord just really got a hold of my heart when I was studying his word. And I heard Jesus say in Luke 6:40 that when a student was fully trained, he would be like his teacher.
Yeah.
And I started to realize, as much as I liked Savannah's teacher in her little public school in Canby, Oregon, I didn't really know her.
Right.
I didn't know her. I didn't know her, the state of her heart. I didn't know how she felt about the Lord. I didn't know her political persuasions. And then I started thinking about all the hours that I had invested in my daughter being in a school surrounded by people that I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me that this really is, the Lord will hold me responsible as her mother and her father responsible for how she's educated. And so at the end of that year, we took her out of her little public school and we started our homeschool journey. And all the rest of our kids have never been to a traditional school. They've all been homeschooled. We have 1 daughter left at home. So I have a 35-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old daughter.
Awesome.
And now we have 8 grandchildren. And so far, all of our grandchildren who are school age are also being homeschooled. And to me, when I look around at the country and I see what's happening in our communities, so much of the struggles that we are having with our children, the rise of the social contagion, otherwise known as transgenderism, and so much of the anger that we see, the political divide in our country is being fueled and started in our education system.
Yeah.
And so I care very deeply about where the country is going. I care about it for my grandchildren and for the future of the state of Washington where I live. And we are in our public school system right now, cranking out by the hundreds of thousands every single year. Kids who are confused about their gender, they have low self-esteem. Their academic scores are plummeting in the Northwest here in Washington State and in Oregon. in Oregon, you don't even have to be proficient anymore in reading, writing,
So
or math to
crazy.
graduate from an Oregon high school. It's insane.
Wow.
But these
Yeah.
kids will tell you how many genders there are. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
And so we really just decided to get involved in 1999. We started a homeschool cooperative. We ended up planting over 100 of them around the
Beautiful.
United States, up in Canada. And now we have the Homeschool Resource Center here in Vancouver, which has about 1,700 students currently. So we're trying to take away any excuses that a family might have to feel like they can't homeschool their children.
Mhm.
And the Lord is really blessing it. So,
Yeah.
lots of passion behind it.
Love that.
Wow. I do hear from a lot of people like, oh, I could never homeschool, or it's
Mhm.
like
Right.
privilege to be able to homeschool, right? Because a lot of families, especially right now, are having to work. And can you talk about that? Like how you're removing barriers and how it is possible for almost anybody to homeschool?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I don't think we have time anymore to sugarcoat it.
Right.
We learned in 2020 that that we would remove our kids from the schools, and we would find a way. For a virus with a 99.9% survival rate, we kept our
Yeah.
kids home.
Yep.
And for a while, the entire country was homeschooling.
Mhm.
So when people tell me, "Oh, I can't do that," or "I don't have the money," or "I don't have the patience," or the list is endless, I love to tell parents, if you knew that there was a virus with a 99.9% spiritual mortality rate, in other words, you're likely going to lose your children,
Wow.
Mhm.
what would you do?
Yeah.
What would you do for the hearts and minds of your kids? And this is about sacrifice. It is about, um, adults doing hard things for children, which we don't like to do.
Yeah.
We don't like to do. I mean, this
It's
is why
true.
abortion, right?
Yep.
Adults don't like to do hard things for children, and we'll sacrifice our children on whatever altar we deem necessary so that we can have a nicer house or a nicer car. And it's just, I mean, I don't know a better way to say it. It's a sin issue
Mhm.
that we will not do what is best for our children for the sake of money, for
Yeah.
the sake of it. I mean, think about what is happening in our country. And listen, I live in Washington. The taxes here are insane. It's tough to make a living here. And Jay and I,
Mhm.
forever and ever and ever, amen, had one car, and it was a, clunky old used car. And we got all of our kids' clothes came from the, secondhand stores and hand-me-downs from friends.
Yeah.
And it was the best decision that we ever made to keep our children home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we should be sheltering our children. We care more about sheltering tomato plants
I know. It's
than
so
we
true.
do about sheltering our children.
It's sad.
And so
Yeah.
it is so sad. And so I just tell, part of why we started the Homeschool Resource Center was to remove those excuses from people, to say, listen, if you'll just put in a little bit of time, we'll meet you halfway. So we have over 300 classes there right now. If a mom comes to me and says, "Oh, hey, I'm going to pull my kids out of the Ridgefield School District finally because I discovered that they're teaching there's 400 genders and they put a litter box in the kids' bathroom." True
Oh my
story.
goodness.
Oh, man.
And
Oh my
so
goodness.
we're gonna pull our kids out of the schools, but I don't want to teach algebra. I don't feel like I can teach algebra, and also my daughter loves choir. Great. We have an algebra tutor for you, and we have a choir program, and the classes start at $5 an hour. We have done everything we can
Yeah.
to make these classes affordable. And what I have noticed about this generation of homeschoolers, in other words, I would say, Gen Xers for sure, and Gen Z, as they're looking to home educate their children, it's different than when I started, way back
Sure.
in whatever 1998. I was really running to something. I saw a system of education that brought families closer together, that was life-giving for siblings, and that gave parents back what the schools steal, and that is time. You never get it back.
Yep.
We are sending our children 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, 9 months out of every year. We send our kids to Rome to be educated, and then we wonder why they come out as Romans.
Yes.
Well, that's why.
Absolutely.
It's a time thing, and homeschooling gives you back that time. And so when the moms, I noticed, they're not running to something anymore like I was. They're really running from something. They're
Yeah.
running from an education system that is morally, spiritually, and academically bankrupt, that is being guided by the nation's largest union, that is the teachers union, the
Yes.
National Educators Association. If you look, you could go right now. I would challenge your listeners, go right now to the National Educators Association website, to the NEA,
Mhm.
and just see their agenda.
Yeah.
They're not
It's
even
terrible.
hiding it. It is absolutely anti-American, pro-LGBTQ, alphabet mafia all day long.
Yeah.
We are seeing in our schools now that they've been hijacked by activists who are disguised as teachers.
Right.
And that's not to say that every teacher in the public school is bad. I don't think that's true at all. I have good friends who are teachers in the public schools. We need them.
Yeah.
We absolutely need them. But the reality is, and if these teachers are honest, they will tell you that I'm right. The reality is that there's nothing that most of these good teachers can do because the system is set against them.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. We can't talk to our kids about God in the schools anymore. We're not allowed to pray in our schools anymore. We're not allowed to voice dissenting opinions about evolution or abortion or transgenderism. You're not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so then your kids are stuck in this system that is literally injuring them, body, soul, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
And so when parents come to me and they say, well, I can't do it, I don't have the patience. It's not about if it was about patience, you guys, I would have quit. It's not about patience.
Yeah.
It's about perspective. It's about, what do I want to see from my children when they graduate? What am I looking for? Well, I want my kids to be spiritually intact. I want them to be emotionally healthy. And I want them to have a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And that takes time on the part of parents. And so when we opened the Homeschool Resource Center, it was just before COVID broke out. I think we had 400 students at the time. And then COVID came along, and your girl, Heidi, we stayed open.
Yeah.
We stayed open.
So
I noticed right away, like, this is the spirit of the age, man.
Yep.
It's the spirit of the age.
Is.
God's not the author of confusion.
No.
And so when you saw all this confusion around you and all the lies that we now know that we were all victimized by, we determined to stay open. And that decision to stay open brought a lot of criticism. It brought persecution from the state of Washington. And guess what? We grew exponentially during that time because we refused to normalize. Yes, we refused to normalize for children what was abnormal and wrong.
Yeah.
And parents need to start doing hard things for kids. So don't come to me, and tell me that you can't do it, because I'm going to tell you, yes, you can. You're probably lazy.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard. It is work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will tell you, I've raised 7 children. It is a lot of work, but also the most rewarding, best decision that we ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible is right when it says that we have no greater joy than to know that our children are walking in the truth.
So
that takes courage. It takes determination, and it takes a mom and a dad who are determined to do what is in the best interest of their children. And if that means we live in a smaller house in a less desirable neighborhood, then that's what it means.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, your kids are worth it. And that's the decision that we need to make. Either our kids are worth the sacrifice or they're not.
Mm. I actually, I was one of those moms about probably 4 or 5 years ago where I was working full time, and I had my kids in the public school. And I remember getting more and more frustrated with just how things were turning, because I was in Washington State for many years, and now we're in Tennessee. And I moved to this conservative state thinking the schools out here, they'll be more conservative. Oh my goodness.
Nope.
It was a big eye opener for us as a family, because even though the teachers weren't necessarily, putting some of the stuff out there, a lot of them were very much for it. And then you also had a lot of these teenagers and kids that are on TikTok and all this stuff, and they're listening to this stuff. So then my kids are hearing things that I'm like, what in the world? And so we took them all home this last year. And one of the things that I think has been so beautiful and is, I think that it's easy for us to overcomplicate it as moms. And if you have systems, it's actually not that hard. So I think for me, I look back and I'm like, well, that was dumb that I just kind of got overly intimidated by it. When in reality, man, if I had just dug in a little bit more, and, we probably could have done it in the earlier years. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of the day, of the time for kids to really have that education and that shift. So that's kind of been our journey with it. How are you? Because I know you speak all over the country. How are you experiencing different communities around this issue? Do you feel like people are starting to be more open to homeschool, or do you still feel like it's this uphill climb of, no, you guys need to do this? Has it changed since COVID for you guys in other states as well?
Yeah. I think we're in the middle of a great awakening. I don't know if
Mhm.
we're in the middle of a revival yet. I think,
Sure.
time will tell. But I think definitely there's an awakening happening and people are starting to realize what we have done to generations of children.
Mhm.
And everywhere I go, the homeschool movement is growing. It is the fastest form of education that is growing the most quickly in this country. And so when I talk to parents, they're starting to wake up. They're starting to realize, oh, hey, I may never get my kids back if I don't rescue them. And that's what you're doing when and I love the point that you just made about the schools in more red states. People have been telling me for a long, long time, well, I'm just going to move to Oklahoma. Well, we'll just move to Tennessee. Well, we'll just go down to, Southern Louisiana. And I'm here to tell you that the same spirit that's in Washington State is in Tennessee.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
is in Oklahoma. You cannot run from the spirit of the age.
Yeah.
And so, and actually, Tennessee has one of the worst records
Mm.
for pornographic books in the libraries there and in the schools.
Yes. We found that
One
out.
of the worst.
Yep. We found that
Yes.
out actually
Yep.
coming here. My daughter came home with a book and she just thought it was an innocent book and there was something in it. And I ended up calling the school board and being like, what in the world? So we
Yeah.
are one of those families. And, we were able to obviously talk through it. But the fact that we even as parents have to have these really hard conversations with our kids that should not be even had at those ages, it's crazy. Yes, I think that what you're doing, the way you're advocating for this across the nation, it's important and it needs to be spoken, I think, from many Christian podcasts. That homeschool it's really not that complicated if you create systems.
Right.
B, that we are capable as parents of doing hard things like you were saying earlier. And yeah, like you said, you're not going to get the time back. So, and I know, Beth, you've been homeschooling. Have you talk about your journey too with homeschool and what that's done for your kids as well?
Yeah, well, we've been homeschooling for 6 years now. And we started when my oldest was in kindergarten. And our journey was because my husband was at really a high-end Christian school. And, a school that everybody in town thought was the best, in terms of Christian education and getting people into college. And he just looked around and he's like, this is not who I want influencing my kids one day. If I'm at the best school and this is scaring me, then we just decided, and, that was 17 years ago. And so then we had started having kids, and homeschool has been the best for us because of all the reasons that you said, like our children's sibling bonds are stronger. We're able to pour into them the Bible every single day. We're able to have enough time to do that instead of send out, pick up, do homework, brush your teeth, eat, go to bed.
All those things.
Like it's just, we don't have time unless you do pull your kids out, I believe.
Yeah.
To pack in all of the ways that we're wanting to disciple our children. And so we've been really grateful. We have found a huge community here in Tennessee of other homeschooling families that share the same morals and faith that we do. And so that's been a beautiful thing for my children to grow up in. But given a second choice, yes, we would absolutely do it again. And it is such a sacrifice. You are absolutely right. I didn't think I was going to make it when I had, toddlers and babies. And I'm trying to nurse a baby and teach a kid to read. And I'm like, this is so hard. But at the same time, it's so worth it.
So good.
Yeah. It's so worth it. I love that you brought up Christian school. And I think at the risk of, I'm sure I've already stepped on a bunch of toes today. So at the risk of doing it again, I graduated from a Christian school in Portland, Oregon. I went there for, kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm very, very thankful that my grandparents put me in that school. But I will tell you, most of the kids that I graduated from high school with are not walking with the Lord.
Yeah.
I'd say upwards of 85% probably not walking with the Lord. And we were still exposed to the same garbage in the Christian school that my other friends were exposed to in public schools. And when my husband and I had the opportunity to put our children in a Christian school here in Vancouver years ago. He was a pastor at a very large church here. And the senior pastor was like, hey, you guys just won the school lottery because your kids get to come to this Christian school for free. Well, we had already been homeschooling by that time, I think 3 years. And my initial thought was, thank goodness I can, I'm going to put my kids in Christian school. And then that little voice was just like, this is your responsibility. And I remembered what happened in my Christian school.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when a student is fully trained, he'll be like his teacher. Well, he's also a product of his environment. The Bible says that bad company corrupts good character, that a companion of fools suffers harm. The NLT actually says a companion of fools will be destroyed.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, there are a lot of fools in that school.
Yeah.
And I don't want my child to be one of them, right? Because our kids are, they come to us like we get to train them. And you're absolutely right that when you take your children home, it gives you the incredible gift of time.
Yeah.
And that is what we give away. And when our daughter was in the school system, I don't know why people say that homeschooling is harder than any other form of education. I think it's all hard, right? Because when your kids are in school, it's, you better join the PTA. You got to be there constantly. You have to understand what they're teaching, what curriculum they're using, who their teachers are, who their friends are. And all of these things are happening while you're not there.
Yep.
And so I think, it's time for parents to really do just a very hard look at who is influencing our children. This is a really cool story. We have, lots and lots of students at the Homeschool Resource Center now. It's open 5 days a week. Everything that we do there is done a la carte. So, and parents don't get to drop their kids off. I'm not interested in babysitting your kid.
Yeah.
So parents need to stay at the Homeschool Resource Center when their kids are there for a class or two.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a coffee shop now and a bookstore, and you'll see parents, all over the resource center all day long. And a mom came up to me a couple of years ago. I was just standing by the front door, and she just burst into tears.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I finally have my daughter back.
Oh my goodness.
She said, I have not seen my daughter in years. And she had bought into the lie, this insidious lie that we can change our sex and our gender.
Wow.
And when she brought her daughter to the center, she said she wanted to be called a boy and a boy name and boy pronouns. And we were like, sorry, we're not, you look at you, you beautiful young girl. We're not going to lie to you and tell you that you're a boy. And also, you are so loved, and the Lord loves you, and your parents love you, and we're going to love you here. And that girl, after a couple of years, actually it wasn't even a couple of years, it was maybe 6 months, you started to see a change in her. The environment that we have our children in shapes them.
Yeah.
And so parents need to recognize that whatever environment they're in, the same of our homes, right? So if our homes are toxic places, or if we're unkind as parents, or if we have a problem with our temper or whatever, that is shaping our children.
Absolutely.
And so it's a reminder to me as a mother, and now as a grandmother, I finally have more grandkids than I do children. It's a reminder to me that my kids are watching me.
Yes.
And my grandkids are watching me.
Yeah.
And everything we say matters, and our kids are watching what we do. And so for goodness sake, I'm encouraged because I think people are waking up to it, and I continue to pray. Someone asked me on a television show the other day if I thought the public schools could be reformed, and I do not think that they can be reformed. I think that the insidious nature of communism and socialism and cultural Marxism is baked into the cake of our public school system.
Yes.
And I don't think it can be reformed. And so parents have a choice to make. Either you take your children out and put them in a Christian school, or you bring them home and homeschool them. And I would say homeschooling by far and away. If you absolutely just are like, no, I don't want to do it, then at the very least a Christian school. But because of all the things that you've just said and my experience, I always tell parents, if you can homeschool your children, and I think you can, it's the best option.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think really it's up to the church at this point to begin to engage like what you've done, and you've built this beautiful community as well. I know for us, that's really been key to being successful, is having that community. Where would you, so just in general, if you're in obviously not in Vancouver, Washington, there's lots of different tutorials and stuff. Do you have somewhere you just send women who are like, I'm really curious about this. Where do I go? How do I even get started? Who've just never done it? Where would you send them?
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite places to send people is to the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. So it's hslda.org. And if you go there and click on your state, you can find support groups. You can find people in your area who are willing to kind of walk you through it. Homeschooling shouldn't be isolating.
Yes.
I think that is a myth, right? When people say, well, aren't you worried about socialization? I have to laugh.
Yes.
I was just coming home from an event in Ohio yesterday, and the gentleman I was sitting next to, as soon as he found out I was homeschooling, he was like, aren't you worried about socialization? And I was like, absolutely. That's exactly why we took our kids out of class.
Yes.
And he was just,
100%.
just like,
yes.
like socialization, like homeschooling shouldn't be isolating. It shouldn't be done in isolation. The enemy loves an isolated mother. She's an easy target for discouragement and all manner of mistakes that we make as mothers. And so I would say find a support group. And, for goodness sake, you guys, we live with ChatGPT now.
Right.
So people can there's so many ways for moms to get engaged, for families to get engaged. Our children have never been isolated because I didn't want to be isolated.
Sure.
I wanted my kids in community. So HSLDA is great. There's lots of wonderful state organizations. I would tell people, go to a homeschool conference.
Yes.
There's a gazillion of them. I'll be back in Pigeon Forge this year.
Awesome.
For the Teach Them Diligently conference, one of the very best homeschool conferences, I think, in the nation. I'll be speaking there. There's the homeschool experience at the ARC Encounter in Kentucky. There's a wonderful conference in Branson, Missouri. Coming up this year. And I speak at these conferences all over the place. The state of Florida has the largest homeschool conference anywhere in the nation. About 20,000 people go to that event.
Wow.
So lest you think
awesome.
that these are just little podunky events, they're not. And you can go and you can go to the exhibit hall and you can pick up curriculum and you can talk to the people that write these programs. And then you can sit in on classes and listen to parents like Heidi St. John, who have been there and done that and got the t-shirt and can tell you what pitfalls to avoid and how you can become successful. And so I feel like that's really, really important. Go to a homeschool conference.
Yeah.
And then just soak it up, listen. That's how Heidi St. John, this woman who could not understand why any woman in her right mind would want to homeschool her kids when a yellow bus would come and take them away for free. That was this was my paradigm. That's where I came from. And going to homeschool conferences really put me on a good trajectory. And eventually, of course, I started speaking for them. So no reason for a homeschool family to feel isolated. No reason for your kids not to have friends.
Sure.
And not to feel like they can live in community. We were created for relationship.
Yes.
First with the one who made us and then with each other. And there's no reason for homeschooling to interfere with that, I think.
Absolutely.
It's true.
I totally agree with the conferences too. I remember, right as we were starting actual homeschooling, I went to one and I came away walked out of there thinking, man, number one, we have to do this because it's absolutely in our kids' best interest. And number two, I was so encouraged. I was like, I can do this. Just listening to other moms and dads that have paved the way just completely changed our paradigm.
Yeah.
Because I was a little scared.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the community is everything. When you can come together and you have community, it's going to change it. Absolutely. So I just want to say thank you for what you do. Keep, doing it. And we're just honored to be able to share what you do with our audience. And we'll be headed out to some homeschool conferences, I think, here soon. So, and sharing them as well.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good. Right on. Well, there's a lot of really great ones in the nation. And so no matter where your listeners are coming from, they should be able to find a homeschooling event near them. I would also say, just really briefly, the United Nations right now has just introduced legislation that would absolutely cripple homeschooling.
Oh.
And I'm going to be having Mike Ferris on my show to talk about that a little bit. We'll unpack that later on this week. And also there is legislation being introduced in New Jersey right now that would severely limit a parent's right to access to homeschooling. And so I would tell people, pay attention to what's happening in your state legislature.
Yes.
Pay attention to the voices that are speaking into education right now, and don't sit on the sidelines.
Yes.
This country has been hijacked 1,000 paper cuts at a time, and it happens in our school boards, and it happens in our state legislatures. And the anti-homeschool agenda and the anti-homeschool lobby is alive and well. And one of the very best things you can do is join the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. You can become a member there. And then if something happens, if CPS comes to your door, or some, kooky Karen neighbor turns you in, you have an attorney that will represent you for free.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
like $110 a year. Absolutely worth it. These guys have been advocates for home education for a long, long time. I love that organization so much that I joined their board of directors a couple of years ago. But I would tell people, pay attention, because there are more attacks coming to homeschooling. And the reason that is happening is because the homeschool movement is a freedom movement.
Yeah.
It is a movement that puts parents in charge of their kids' education. It's a movement that teaches children, that goes against the rhetoric that's coming out of the radical left in this country. And I promise you, they're going to try to take us back to the 80s where homeschooling was illegal again. And so I would just encourage parents, pay attention, keep your eye on the ball, and stand for freedom. And you do that by getting involved in the homeschool movement. So
powerful.
Great questions today, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and being on here. Appreciate you.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you.